Anaheim Ducks riding a 4-game winning streak tonight, coming into Honda Center to play host to the Calgary Flames. And it's time for tonight's Keys to the Game, brought to you by your helpful SoCal Honda dealers. And for those, we go to the Anaheim bench and Ken French.
Thanks, Johnny. With us, it goes Brad Lauer. Last 2 games, 2 great starts. How do you replicate that tonight against a team playing very good hockey? Also, they're well rested. They haven't played since Friday.
Oh, the big thing for us, we want to play fast. We want to get our feet moving. We want to get the puck moving north and take advantage of the situations, create some offense.
Brad, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Johnny, back to you.
Yeah, no reason for the Flames to leave anything out there tonight. They don't play again until Saturday, the only game in an 8-day stretch for them. The referees for tonight's game are Gord Dwyer and Mark Jeanette, as assigned by the National Hockey League. And the linesmen are Brad Lazarowicz and Ryan Galloway. Set to go, young Ben Street to take the draw against Ryan Getzlaf. We're underway. The Flames in their road whites, the Ducks in their home blacks. Corey Perry has trouble with the puck in his own zone, and Lee Stempniak with a long wrist shot that's blocked by Getzlaf and moved quickly by Penner. Transition for the Ducks. And a stick handling display from Getzlaf. He gets it in front. Penner on a backhand spinorama sent it wide. Perry gets it back. Getzlaf from behind the net, trying to find the open Vatanen at the point. It's deflected out center ice. Brian Allen goes back to get it, and now gets it back from Ben Lovejoy as the Ducks are in mid-change right now. And now Allen will make his way to the bench, but it's an icing call that will keep him on the ice. Faceoff will come back into the Anaheim zone. We take a look at the series history between these two.
Start, and you got to give them full credit for that.
Cogliano holds it on the left boards after Lovejoy's shot was deflected on the way. Beaumont able to get a block on. Excuse me, it was Berchi who blocked that shot. But again, the Ducks recover a puck in the Calgary zone. Fowler was caught up ice a little bit. He had to retreat. Now held in by Lovejoy, who will rim it around, and then he'll head to the bench for a change. They keep the puck in the zone. Winnick finds the open man in the slot. Bonino's shot is blocked by Butler and cleared off the glass.
Yeah, another early trend to keep an eye on as this game moves along. Calgary is really collapsing down deep in the defensive zone. They've already blocked 3 or 4 real good scoring bids by the Ducks.
Jackman tries to shoulder Beauchemin off the puck on the far boards, but he can't. And the open man is Emerson Edom into the Calgary zone. Tries to slip it into the middle as he had Palmieri driving the net, but that was broken up. And here's Tim Jackman the other way, the native of Minot, North Dakota, now in his 10th NHL season. Gets it in and then goes in after it as he bumped Palmieri.
Calgary, they're trying to out-hit this 4th line of the Ducks. Interesting tactic. The question remains, can they catch him to hit him?
It's a big line. Here's a loose puck. Oh, Foss thought better of going out to get it, and Colburn very nearly got his first as a Flame. And Victor living right to get that whistle. I don't think he ever controlled that puck.
Well, the puck popped free for big Joel Colburn, and he splits the Anaheim defense. It's rolling all the way. Foss couldn't really feel that puck. So it was a nervous moment for him. Anytime I see those goaltenders fall backwards onto their rear end, it's an uncomfortable position for a goaltender to be in. And he's a little bit fortunate, John. He does not knock that puck over the goal line by himself.
Colburn came over from the Toronto Maple Leafs at the end of training camp on a deal that sent a draft pick back the Leafs' way. He's a Calgary native. Great pass across from Getzlaf, and the Ducks strike first. Dustin Penner makes it 1-0.
Dustin Penner drives to the far post, but the reason why this goal happens is that Sami Vatanen joins the rush and drives the center lane. Vatanen's going to lead the drive to the net, and Getzlaf throws it all the way across to Penner, but very, very difficult for the goaltender to figure out who's going to touch that puck because Vatanen was there. It slips all the way through to Penner, and he slams it into the wide open net. And once again, the Ducks start fast.
Yep, it's another early goal. They scored 27 seconds in their 4-1 win over Ottawa on Sunday. This one comes less than 3.5 minutes into the game. Getzlaf with the assist. Has goals in 2 straight games, points in 3 straight now. As Backlund intercepts a pass at center, tries to cut in off a right wing, but Lindholm didn't give him any room, and there was nothing much to try to do but go short side on Foss.
Now here's one more look at the goal, and look at Getzlaf. Boy, he just outweights Brody on defense, slides it through to the far post, and Penner just slams it into a wide open net, and they look like they're having fun.
Well, Dustin Penner missed the game on Sunday due to a lower body injury. 2 goals in only 4 games. Picked up a couple of assists, too. Came into tonight at +5. So the Ducks will take a lot more of that from him to round out that top line. The reincarnation of what was their second line back in the 2007 Stanley Cup season. And Ducks fans have a lot of great memories of that trio and the damage they were able to do in what was a very memorable and historic year for this franchise. Flames just lifted out of their own zone. It comes to Yuri Hudler. Hudler with Monahan, can't get it to him in the Anaheim zone, and the Ducks with numbers through neutral ice. Cogliano takes the rink-wide feed on right wing, gives it back off the skate of Koivu in behind the goal. Back in front for Cogliano. He's spun around, however, by Barchi, and Shane O'Brien, the former Duck, clears the zone.
So the matchups are becoming fairly evident here in the early going. It will be the Koivu line to oppose Monahan, Berchi, and Hudler. That's the trio that have done most of the damage for Calgary this season.
Colburn again gets in, nearly spins into the Anaheim zone, and it's played into the Ducks bench.
A little confusion at the Anaheim blue line there, and they almost got caught. The tendency when you look out onto the ice and you see Brian Allen with Sami Vatanen, Bruce Boudreau's primary concern is that the young defensemen are going to, at times, make inexperienced reads. And we've seen Lindholm and Vatanen, they're so aggressive, John, that they're always thinking offense, and that will be tempered, I can guarantee you that, over the course of this regular season.
He was talking about Sami Vatanen today, and he said he's small, but he's so competitive, and that's very, very easy to notice if you keep an eye on number 45. This season, when the Ducks score 5 goals, fans Hooters will give you 5 free wings. Print the coupon from your own home and score your free wings at Hooters, your destination for free wings in Southern California. Foot race to that loose puck, and Emerson Edom turned on the Jets and very nearly got to it in the Calgary zone.
Yeah, it's a self-chip, as players will call it sometimes, where he just flips it off the boards and then tries to blow right past the defenseman who has to turn.
Panino gives it to him in the Calgary zone, and that's deflected out of play by the stick of Dennis Weidman.
Here's a good look at Emerson Edom. Now, keep in mind, Edom, his last year of junior, scored 61 goals. So this is a young man that has a significant offensive upside. A lot of it starts with just flat-out speed. Here's what I'm talking about. The self-chip off the boards, blows around Weidman, almost gets to that loose puck.
Another face-off win for the Ducks. Getzlaf gets it to the side of the net. Penner trying to jam it home. Anaheim's been very good in the face-off circle of late, including Ryan Getzlaf, who has been over 62% in his last 3 games. And that is music to Bruce Boudreau's ears.
Man. I'll say, you know, at times in his career, it's almost seemed like Getzlaf kind of bored by the face-off, right? It's like, drop the puck, I'll get it back at some point, so no big deal. But turns out, when you win the draws, you get the puck a lot more frequently.
TJ Brody trying to battle it out and gets a little help getting it to center. Francois Beauchemin sends it right back in, and Joey McDonald wanders out to play it. McDonald, one-time property of the Ducks, never played in a game for Anaheim, but actually came up a couple of years ago as a backup, dressed for a few games, never actually played for the Ducks. He's never played more than 49 games in any of his 8 NHL seasons. He is dressed for 5 different NHL franchises.
He comes very close to taking a penalty here as he drags this puck into the area outside of the trapezoid, and I have seen that called, John.
Yep.
And by the letter of the law, that should be a minor penalty against Joey McDonald.
Flames have only taken 33 minutes in penalties in their first 5 games. That is the lowest total in the National Hockey League. They haven't taken a penalty as yet in this one, but they have given up a goal. Getzlaf to Penner, and for the 3rd straight game, the Ducks start fast.
Here's a good look at Joey McDonald. At one time in his career, he was part of the Ducks organization, played for them in the minors, got a couple of call-ups, but never actually played in a game for Anaheim. 33 years old. He's been around the block. He's a tremendous guy. Big favorite with anyone who has ever been a teammate of Joey McDonald. And it's kind of heartwarming to see him get off to the start that he has had for Calgary. You can see in his 7 NHL seasons, he's averaged less than 15 games a year when you average it out. So he's not a guy that this opportunity has come easily.
5th straight start for the Nova Scotia native, as it was Kari Ramo who started on opening night in Washington when the Flames lost in a shootout 5-4, and since then it's been McDonald's net, an offside call here against the Flames. This is the first of 5 straight on the road in which the Flames will be gone for 9 straight days, and a lot of people around this team and back in Calgary think this is the true test for Bob Hartley's club. Obviously, it's a long season. Over the course of 82 games, they've surprised for 5. Well, and a lot of people think they're going to know a lot more about this team when they come back north of the border.
It's been a very, very good start. And, you know, when you talk to people that surround this team, they will tell you that just about everything has gone their way in the early going. They've, you know, all 3 of their victories have been 1-goal wins, and so they have found a way to win the close games. They've got timely saves from McDonald.
Funny thing about expectations, isn't it, Brian? When they're high, they bring pressure, and sometimes when they're low or there are none, it's interesting how a team can respond.
No question. And there's a lot of players, quite frankly, in this lineup that have a unique opportunity that they wouldn't get with a lot of other organizations. So,
kick saved by McDonald, and the rebound nearly dug out from underneath him by Cogliano, and that was just a result of a couple of real nonchalant plays by the Flames. First by McDonald, who just dispatches the puck to the corner to no one in general, and then the Flames start to leave the zone before the puck.
Yeah, and you can see that Joey McDonald's not sure where that one was, and much like we saw with Victor Faust early in the game, again, the goaltender falling backwards onto the seat of his pants is never a real confident-looking goaltender. He's a little bit fortunate he does not bump that puck across the line.
12:15 to play in the opening period. 1-0. The Ducks have the lead. The goal, Dustin Penner at .327, his second of the year from Getzlaf and Brian Allen. Second assist of the year for Brian Allen, not known for his offensive exploits, but off to a nice start to his season. +5 to boot as Solani is whistled as going offside with Silverberg at the Calgary stripe.
One of the things that has caught our eye with young Hampus Lindholm is just how hard and accurately he passes the puck. And here's a good example of it. I mean, he zips that pass, and it is right on the tape of Teemu Selanne. Selanne actually mishandles it at the blue line, but head up, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, he fires it, and that's a great lesson for young defensemen. Anytime you have to make a long cross-ice pass, really put some zip on it.
Lindholm back to play it, trying to protect himself along the end boards, and he does long enough to find Selanne. His area pass up the middle for Silfverberg creates a foot race, and Shane O'Brien got to the dot first, so say the linesmen. So there's your hybrid icing, and O'Brien had a conversation with Silfverberg as they make their way back. Shane played 62 games for the Ducks back in that 07 season as well. He's been well-traveled since then, coming over from Colorado in an off-season trade.
That was that deal with the Avalanche. He came over with David Jones, and Alex Tanguay and Corey Sarich went the other way.
Now with his 6th NHL franchise is Shane O'Brien in just his 8th NHL season. Been with Nashville, Tampa Bay, Colorado, Vancouver, of course the Ducks. A big collision in the corner, Ben Street. It looks like he might be a little shaken up as he tries to get back to the front of the net. Now he's trying to get to the Calgary bench, and he is less than 100%. He makes it there as the Ducks clear the zone, and Chris Russell rushes it right back in. Hands it off on the wing, and Gagliardi's shot stick to side by Fost. Curtis Glencross, another former Duck property, keeps it in. Glencross now wearing the A as an alternate captain for the Flames, finds himself in a little bit of a leadership role with this young group, just 30 years of age, as we get another icing call against Anaheim. It was 5 months ago today, Brian, that Francois Beauchemin had the knee surgery. A full-on recovery expected to be probably closer to 6 months. He's been playing hockey for a month for the Ducks. And oh, by the way, +9 in his last 4 games.
He has, I think it's remarkable. He will tell you that he's not close to 100%.
Yeah.
When you watch Francois right now, you'll see that you won't see a lot of the big open ice hits in the neutral zone that he is famous for. And that's because he just doesn't have that strength in the leg. Boy, we've got a bunch of icings going on right here.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He told Lisa Hillary in the pregame show, he admitted the first couple games were kind of tough, even though he got a couple of exhibition games under his belt as well. Well, fans, you could win a 2014 Honda Odyssey this year on Fan Appreciation Night. It's simple. Just log on to AnaheimDucks.com/Honda Odyssey and enter to win. You must be 18 years of age to participate. Shots are 4 apiece. The Ducks lead 1-0. We're nearly halfway through the opening period at Honda Center. Ducks will be home Friday night to play host to Phoenix, and then they wrap up the homestand on Sunday against the Dallas Stars. And then they'll head out on an Eastern Odyssey. It'll see them play 8 Eastern Conference teams in 15 days. They will take care of over half of the Eastern Conference road schedule for the entire season on that trip. Brody headmans for Barchi, and he can't get around Sammy Vatanen, who stayed with him, and the Ducks in transition. Penner from Getzlaf tries to return the favor, an aerial pass that he knocked out of midair, but he couldn't corral. Lovejoy forced back in the neutral zone, and Niftali goes behind the back to find Fowler. The former Windsor Spitfire angles it off the boards and finds Corey Perry. Ducks will change, and here's Mark Giordano for Calgary. This pass tipped into the zone by Yuri Hudler. Hudler off to a wonderful start this season. Former Red Wing with 7 points in 5 games. Weidman drills it from the point. Long blocker save, forces the puck almost completely out of the zone, and then Anaheim offside the other way. The strength of an early goal has given Anaheim the lead in the first. One of the 3 branches of the highly successful Junior Ducks hockey program here in Southern California. A good look at some of the Lady Ducks on hand here tonight in what is Junior Ducks night at Honda Center. Of course, also the Junior Ducks and the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League included under the Junior Ducks umbrella. 33 of the 65 different teams are represented in the building here tonight. This is a program that has just been skyrocketing in hockey circles, Brian Hayward. Of course, the high school championship from a season ago for Rancho Santa Margarita sits on the top of the mantle for many, but the Lady Ducks have been very good for a long time.
They certainly have. They run a wonderful program. It's a nationally, I won't even say competitive, I'll say a nationally dominant program, the Lady Ducks. Seems like state championships are, it goes without saying that they're going to be the California state champion. And only a question of whether or not they can win the national championship in every age category.
Some great former Ducks among the coaching ranks within the Junior Ducks program include Scott Niedermeyer, Craig Johnson, Todd Marchand, and Jason Marshall, just to name a few. Getting some solid instruction, to say the least, particularly when you see how they compete on an international and national level. Ducks lead Calgary. Speaking of international competition, Anaheim leading Calgary 1-0. 11 minutes into the opening period here at Honda Center. Sharp angle shot handled by Fost, who reaches out to cover it up off the stick of Michael Backlund. Backlund now in his 6th season and has spent his entire career with the Calgary Flames.
John, this just seems like the type of game where Anaheim has to generate their own energy. Things aren't happening as easily as they were in the last couple of games. So not nearly the kind of speed through the neutral zone. Part of that is because the Flames are sitting back and bottling things up in the neutral zone. But the Ducks not quite as crisp as we have seen them in the past couple of games.
I don't think things will ever come quite as easily as they did in a 56-shot record-setting performance against Ottawa the other night. They only have 4 shots so far in this one, but they were flying high, and the speed was so evident in that game, as was the case on home opening night here against the Rangers on Thursday. Ducks playing with a great deal of pace. They've got the first goal in this one, and that's fairly significant. Calgary in the first 5 games has outscored their opponents in the opening period 8-3.
And you can see Calgary kind of sitting back in the neutral zone and just trying to really prevent the Ducks from getting much going on the rush.
Nearly a swing and a miss by McDonald on the long wrist shot off the boards from Cogliano.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that Cogliano was trying to score here. He's just trying to put this puck on the net and generate some kind of a rebound. Ducks a little late to the party, arriving at the top of the goal crease, however.
Anaheim with the goal in tonight's game, now playing +10 in 5-on-5 hockey so far this season. As Vatanin's drive off the faceoff doesn't get through, but it comes right back to him. Neither team has been penalized as yet as Ben Street pokes it deep into the Anaheim zone. Street, a rarity at the U.S. college hockey level, played both for the University of Minnesota and the University of Wisconsin. And up in those parts, that's not looked upon too kindly.
That's true. I'm wondering if he had to sacrifice a year of eligibility, which happens a lot in NCAA if you transfer schools.
Probably had to sacrifice his address and phone number as well. That isn't a line too many players have crossed at the collegiate level.
Lance Boma kind of grabbing down near the right hip. It was Boma that blocked that blast from the point by Sami Vatanen. Trainer immediately over to take a look at him.
Lindholm hit by big Joe Colburn. Mentioned Colburn came over from Toronto early in the season. 6'5". He's pretty hard to miss out there. Former Boston Bruin property and one-time Toronto Maple Leaf. Now it's Palmieri chasing on the forecheck, and it's turned over. Bonino gets it to the net, but Colburn got a piece of it to slow that down. Now he wins the puck from Palmieri, who got a little tangled with the referee on the end wall.
It's an interesting battle, isn't it?
Great job by Palmieri to keep it in, and he scores! He dangled that puck on the blue line, and as he pulled the trigger, he got rocked.
Well, he could shoot it. And he gets all of this. First goal of the season for Kyle Palmieri. And it is a thing of beauty.
This is inches away from being offside, Brian.
Yeah, Butler coughs it up. You know, the defenseman goes to the backhand, and bad things happen when they do that. It does for Butler. But watch this shot by Kyle Palmieri. Pulls it into his wheelhouse, snaps it off. It goes right between the legs of Shane O'Brien and up into the top corner. Uses the defenseman as a perfect screen, and not much chance for Joey McDonald.
First of the season for Palmieri will be unassisted. That's his first point of the year as well. He missed the game against the Rangers in here last Thursday because of an upper body injury. Good to see Kyle get on the score sheet. And the Ducks now have a 2-0 lead. 6.5 to play in the opening period. That should get some energy going. Not only for the team, but for the crowd here. The fast start gave them the 1-0 lead, but things settled in for about a 10-minute period of play on the ice, and now the Ducks have doubled their lead.
You know, that goal for Palmieri, John, kind of sums up the progression of Kyle Palmieri as an NHL player. I remember when he first arrived from the American League, and he scored at every single level. But at times he would stop moving his feet. You know, he would kind of get into coast mode. He doesn't get into coast mode very often anymore, and as a result, a lot more dangerous player.
Well, the great thing about that goal, Hazy, he went to the end boards, and as I mentioned, he lost a puck battle. He got a little tangled with the referee, but he didn't give up on the play. He chased the puck, tracked it down, and stole it from the defenseman, curled, and it was the epitome of an unassisted goal. He made the play to get the puck, and he made the play to put it in the net.
I admire the courage here of Bob Hartley. I don't know if it's all that smart to have Joe Colburn and this fourth line, Brian McGrattan, out there against the Getzlaf-Perry trio. We talk about a mismatch. That is a enormous mismatch in talent.
Both teams will go for changes as the Flames hinge it back into their own zone, and I think we've got a couple players mixing it up at the boards, and I think the game's first penalty is going to go against the Flames here. This was a fairly innocuous-looking play, but in the middle of a change, we're going to get a penalty on Tim Jackman. Kyle Palmieri's first of the season doubles the Ducks' lead.
There's a good look at Sami Vatanen, and moments ago, he's going to get a butt end right here by Jackman, right in the solar plexus. And the referee was watching the whole time. So the Ducks, whose power play has been anemic in terms of production, gets an opportunity. But, you know, it's been anemic in terms of goal scoring, but it's not like the power play has looked bad this year. I think they've moved the puck around, especially in the last couple of games, very effectively, getting a ton of chances. And their entries into the zone has been impressive as well.
Sami Vatanen had 7 shots on goal last game as he was just pounding away from the point. He's out there with Fowler to begin what is a 5-minute power play, as it was a major penalty given to Jackman for the butt end. And Anaheim will have some time to work on that power play. The numbers that don't look that pretty. 1 for 21 this year.
Johnny, Bob Hartley had to be thrilled by the fact that, you know, going into this game, his two so-called tough guys, McGrattan and Jackman, hadn't taken a penalty yet this year. And the Flames, a lot of their success had to do with how disciplined they had been. Well, that is not going to make the head coach very happy. That's a bad penalty for Tim Jackman to take when your team's already down a couple of goals.
And the Flames have struggled on the penalty kill early on. They haven't had to kill many, but they're only 8 of 12, 67% on the season killing penalties. The first 45 seconds go by the wayside here, and Anaheim will make a change. Lindholm off the bench takes it from behind the goal from Victor Fost. Shots 7 and 6 in favor of Anaheim. They lead it 2-0 and are unable to stay on side. That little drop pass play through the neutral zone hasn't looked very fluid, at least so far in this power play.
Honestly, the whole period hasn't looked all that fluid. I mean, the Ducks are thrilled because they have the 2-goal lead, but the crispness and the speed on the attack has not been there in tonight's game the way it has been the last couple of home games.
Anaheim, in 3 meetings with the Flames a season ago, only had 4 power play chances in those 3 games. So the Flames under Hartley now in his 2nd season behind the Calgary bench don't give that many power play chances to their opponents. Lindholm follows his own dump in behind the goal, and Butler has it in his skates. The former Denver University standout gets some help from Troy Brody, and then goes up the middle, but waiting for it. Oh, Palmieri, and he coughs it up. Here's a short-handed breakaway. It's Glenn Cross. Score! was Lee Stempniak, who led the league in shorthanded points a year ago, and he's got the Flames right back in it with a shorthanded goal.
Yeah, and it's a bad gamble taken by Kyle Palmieri on a rolling puck that comes back to the point, and he tries to do too much with it. Instead of just whacking it in deep, he turns it over. Stempniak makes Anaheim pay for a bad mistake. So the first minute and a half of this power play, the Ducks have not looked good. Their entries have not been solid. They've not handled the puck well. And Calgary is right back in this game.
All of Stempniak's shorthanded points a year ago were assists. That is a shorthanded goal, and it's 2-1. So plenty of time. Over 3 minutes remains in the power play. A chance to get it back as Vatanen carries the mail in, and Edom from a sharp angle as that one goes straight up in the air off of McDonald. Back up the boards. The Ducks recover possession. Vatanen at the line. Gives it to Koivu. Immediately finds pressure. One-timer by Vatanen deflected to the corner off the stick of Gagliardi. Gloved down nicely by Fowler at the line. Whipped across. Vatanen across the top. Plays catch with Fowler. And Cam fumbles it outside the zone. Flames trying to change. Edom winds it up and races right back in again off a bad angle, and that's off the stick of Russell over top. Bonino gets it back to the line. Moved across quickly by Vatanen. He gets it back. Slaps it over to Bonino. Stick handles through pressure. Rifles it over top. He had a man parked in front. That was Penner who gets a tip on this shot, and McDonald holds on.
You know, it's very interesting when Dustin Penner joins the power play and that everyone knows where he's going to be. I mean, it kind of simplifies things in a certain respect. Big number 17 is going to plant himself right in front of Joey McDonald and make life miserable for him.
First power play unit back out for Boudreau's Ducks. And off the face-off, controlled by Getzlaf. It's wired down low by Francois Beauchemin. Solani to the line, and Lindholm slides it across. The puck just either not settling for anyone or not exactly sure, but it seems like everybody's having a little trouble getting the puck to lay flat right now. And now Lindholm has it knocked away by Stempniak, who's in on the forecheck shorthanded. He throws it out high, and Perry intercepts. Weaves around Gagliardi and storms into the Calgary zone. Drops it off for Getzlaf. Looks behind him and then just gives it off the boards to Stempniak without knowing it. Luckily, Stempniak at the end of his shift will just ice it.
Yeah, this has been a momentum killer for the Ducks on this power play.
Under 2 to play in the period. Minute and a half to go in the power play. Hard around and in. Getzlaf trying to get Perry driving on the weak side. Up the boards, knocked down by Fowler. Trying to get the puck to just fall to ice level. Perreault moves it down low. Perry brings it in front. Leaves it right on the goal post. McDonald gets to it. It ends up in the net, but the whistle had blown.
And the referee, I know what this argument is going to be, John, whether or not the puck goes over the line before the referee blows the whistle. He was definitely trying to bring the whistle to his mouth. Boy, Joey McDonald just loses his balance and leans away from the post and can't get back to it. And that is a tough call for the Ducks because that puck was never covered. Jammed right there. Look at just sitting in behind the goaltender before Getzlaf sweeps it home. Referee lost sight of the puck. His intention was to blow the whistle, and that's why that goal will not count.
33-year-old Joey McDonald living right there, but he still has over a minute of power play time to deal with as Perreault slides it across. Ducks off the face-off win. Get it down low. Giordano pounces on it and backhands it up the glass and out. Perreault feeds it across the line. Silverberg takes a bump, gets it in deep, and now back to the line for Vatanen. Perreault off the right wing half wall, quickly down low, and the pass goes right through Silverberg all the way down. Palmieri put a little too much on it.
Well, he was there. I mean, Jakob Silverberg had that stick wide open. I just think that Kyle Palmieri just missed him.
Silverberg tips this pass into the zone only to have it swatted back. Under a minute to go in the period. There's about a 5-second difference between the penalty clock and the game clock as Cogliano touches one through neutral ice. Vatanen pounces on it. Moves it into the middle. Drop pass. Cogliano has all day, and it's partially blocked as Gagliardi went down in front of it. McDonald covered up.
Yeah, that's a big block by T.J. Gagliardi. Winnick spots Cogliano, and he tries to go inside. Look how aggressive Joey McDonald was. My goodness, he was 3-4 feet out in front of that crease.
Well, we continue to see different personnel on the Anaheim power plays as Bruce Boudreau looking for the combination. Koivu wins the draw. Beauchemin tees it up. Tipped on the way. Nice tip by Daniel Winnick. Recovered by Koivu. Again feeds it to the line. Lindholm throws it towards the goal off a Calgary player. It'll go out of play. So 4 seconds left in what was once 5 minutes of power play time for Anaheim.
A couple of things are pretty apparent here. The ice is not allowing the puck to sit flat, and so the mishandles have really compromised what kind of playmaking ability you have on this power play. So Bruce Boudreau will be telling his team, look, simplify it. Shoot the puck, get people going to the net, and don't try and make too many plays, because it's not going to work.
Penalty is over, and so is the opening period. The Ducks led 2-0 with just over 5 to go in the period, and they went on a 5-minute power play. Hazy, but a funny thing happened on the way to the theater.
Yeah, the shorthanded goal by Calgary got them back in the game. I just don't feel, John, that the Ducks level in terms of their quickness on the attack and how easily they're handling the puck is anywhere close to it was in the last couple of games. They're happy with the 1-goal lead, but the execution level will be needed. I think it's got to get ramped up significantly if they're going to ultimately prevail in this game.
Another fast start for the Ducks in all 3 home games they've scored in the first 5 minutes. They take the lead to the locker room after 1 over the Flames. It's a 1-goal game as we head to the second period of play. John and Brian back with you, still moments away from the start of the second period of play, but momentum, you get the feeling at least at the end of the period, had to be on Calgary's side a little bit. They get the shorthanded goal, and they squelch the 5-minute power play.
Well, the whole period had kind of a nervous feel to it. Players seem to have difficulty handling the puck. As we take a look at our Honda highlights, right off the bat, the Flames able to split the Anaheim defense. That puck won't sit down for Joe Colborne. That's a good stop by Victor Fast. And then Ryan Getzlaf, I don't know if ice conditions ever bother him, because this is just a perfect strike across the Dustin Penner. It was Vatanen on the center lane drive that created space for Penner. And then Kyle Palmieri, well, he gets to a loose puck that was coughed up by Butler, and he makes Calgary pay. And everything was going just fine at that point. And then, well, on the power play, the Ducks with a very shaky 5-minute power play, cough one up. Lee Stempniak, second breakaway of the period for Calgary. Stempniak makes it count. Anaheim a little bit of an unfortunate break here as a quick whistle would cost Ryan Getzlaf a goal. But overall, I think an opportunity for the Ducks to clean some things up.
Let's go to the Anaheim bench and Ken French.
Hey, Johnny, with assistant coach Bob Woods. During that 5-minute power play, it looked like the guys had a tough time settling the puck. What's the conversation during the intermission, and how do you guys work around that in the second period?
Well, anytime you're fighting the puck like that, you got to just simplify things, and just shoot. We got to shoot, get traffic, just try to score one of those dirty goals, and, take it from there.
I appreciate it. You're welcome. All right, Johnny, back to you.
Teams will be full strength when the second period commences. You can see Anaheim with a shot advantage, a scoring chance advantage in that opening period as well. And nice to see them win the face-off battle, Brian.
Well, they've been doing that a lot more consistently, and that is a great sign. Matthew Perreault, by the way, has really been a dominant centerman in the face-off circle since his acquisition here in Anaheim, and I think it's made just a huge difference in that regard. Almost like since Perreault started winning draws, all of a sudden it became contagious. Getzlaf started to win more draws. Koivu has always been a very, very good center iceman in the face-off circle.
Bonino 67% in his last 3 games as well, although he doesn't take the volume that Koivu and Getzlaf do. Here's Street getting behind the defense on the stretch pass, caught from behind on a good effort there by Lindholm, who gets enough of him, then comes away with the puck, and the Ducks the other way. Perry, big rebound as he was set up by Silverberg, and Getzlaf just a little late getting there.
Boy, they got numbers Calgary again. I mean, the Ducks a little bit overly aggressive at times in terms of when their D has decided to join the rush.
A little fire wagon hockey here for a couple of shifts to begin the second period. Getzlaf puts his head down, gets center red, uses the glass to chip it in. Cogliano pursues. Weidman plays it away. And now Hoodler throws it cross ice.
The other thing to notice is that Calgary a number of times has gone up the middle against the Anaheim defense.
Winnick gets it to the net. That one off a Calgary defender. And off the side of the goal, Koivu back to the line. Lovejoy handling it off the backhand. Just shovels it back below the goal line. Daniel Winnick is there with it. Winnick a career high plus 13 a season ago for the Ducks. And this line that meshed so well from day one a season ago, still with Koivu and Cogliano. Now Winnick muscled off the puck in the corner. It's cleared to center, and Fowler shows off the skating ability as he finds a little space for himself. Ducks will roll a change as it's chipped in. Difficult change in the second period for both teams. So you take it where you can get it. Chris Russell, former Columbus Blue Jacket and St. Louis Blue, rims it around and in, centered to no one in general by Michael Backlund. And it's Solani off to the races. That always gets the heartbeat of the crowd going. But he's turned away at the blue line.
There you see Silverberg again on the back check. And when you're talking about Perreault and Solani, it seems like it's Silverberg an awful lot, who is the first man back on a lot of plays.
Side of the net, Lance Boma steps in front. Foss thought he had it covered. Gagliardi dislodges it. Vatanen digs it out of his feet and gets some help from Brian Allen. Makes a little short 6-foot pass to Perreault and then goes to the middle to get it back from Solani. Perreault receives it from Silverberg into the Calgary zone and takes a long shot that's deflected off the high glass and out of play.
We were talking about Hampus Lindholm and the fact that Calgary's going up the middle. The Flames go up the middle here, and Lindholm was the guy that had jumped off the bench. Sami Vatanen had gone on a change, and so he really had to put the afterburners on to be able to get a stick in there and disrupt the bid by Street. That was a good defensive play, and he does have that second gear, Hampus Lindholm.
Troy Brody plays it off the glass and out center ice. Boschman got a piece of it but couldn't find it after that. Trickled through neutral ice. Bonino fires it diagonally into the zone, and they rule he did not get the red line, so icing is immediately whistled.
But they're calling it tight on some of those icings. I mean, normally the follow-through of a shot, if it covers the center red line,
I thought that one did.
Yeah, well, there's been a couple like that have been very, very closely called by the linesman in the neutral zone.
You can see Bonino having that conversation with Brad Lazar, which big surprise he gets tossed from the circle. Now Glenn Cross hits the near side post as Fost is hugging the pipe, and we got a penalty coming up against Anaheim.
We got a hooking penalty. I'm not sure who the guilty culprit is. It looks like it's going to be Kyle Palmieri. So Palmieri's up all over the score sheet so far in tonight's game. Let's see if we can pick it up. Right off the draw, remember Palmieri goes into the middle to help take that draw. I think Street did a pretty good sales job there, John.
Fairly easy, didn't he?
Of helping to draw the hook against Kyle Palmieri.
4 for 18 on the year are the Flames on the power play. Anaheim's penalty kill 10 of 15. Only had to kill one penalty in here on Sunday night in the win against Ottawa. First power play chance of the evening for the Flames. Yuri Hoodler pitchforks it around the boards to the near corner. Glenn Cross tied up there. Flames recover possession. Giordano with a one-timer, and that was blocked wide. Kept alive by Hoodler, who works the right wing half wall. Slides it down low and gets it right back. Looking for a passing lane to open up, and he'll go all the way across. It skips over the stick of Dennis Wideman. Nice job by Beauchemin. Gets a puck in the corner. You could hear Saku Koivu call for it in the middle, and he put it right on his tape.
Yeah, it was a real good read by the Ducks, and that's always the question for a penalty-killing unit. When do I pounce? When do I get aggressive? As soon as the Flames went to the backhand on the boards, the Ducks pounced and got the turnover.
And how happy is Bruce Boudreau to have Emerson Edom back on his penalty kill? He loves this combination of penalty-killing forwards with Edom and Cogliano. Their speed just disrupts so much. Wideman up the left side. A little bit out of his element on the half wall. Spins it down low around for Michael Backlund. Backlund finds space, and Hoodler will quarterback this unit from the right wing boards. Down low off the end wall. Backlund gives it right back to him. 40 seconds in the man advantage. Giordano plays it across, returned by Weidman. The umbrella of the power play now. Top of the right circle, this is Hoodlin. Wrist shot with Giordano is deflected by Edom out of play.
Yeah, good penalty killing here from the Ducks and a good active stick by Edom. That quickness allows him to get to Giordano. He was just trying to snap that puck into the middle, but look at the stick. You protect the middle first and watch him close. Just get a little touch on it, deflects it up and over the glass. So good defensive play there by the youngster Edom.
Bruce Boudreau telling me last week, he said, I just love the energy he brings to our lineup. He said, I even love the energy he brings to practices for his team. And the Ducks able to win a puck down low, and Lindholm rims it around and out. Only 10 seconds now left in the penalty to Kyle Palmieri. Just over 5 minutes into the second period, 2-1. The Ducks have the lead in a thus far scoreless second period. The Flames come up empty on their first power play chance. Puck jammed around the boards. Lindholm tried to bring it with him. Battle ensues up the near wall and finally picked up by Palmieri, who is able to carry it out of the zone. Palmieri fresh out of the box. And hard work by Getzlaf, creating some havoc for the Flames. They just throw it away at center. Beauchemin dumps it back in. Anaheim will change. Perry in on the forecheck as it's moved away. Chris Russell stretches it up the far boards. Boma sidesteps the hit from Lovejoy, who then nudges it behind the net, but it hops the stick of Silverberg. Stepping up is Weidman, and a great glove save by Foss.
That's a good stop. I don't think Weidman got everything that he wanted to on that shot. A little bit of a knuckleball that he delivers, but nonetheless, we'll get a better angle on it right here. There's the shot. Hard to tell whether or not that would have caught the top corner or gone over top of the net. I think it would have gone over top of the net, but good stop by Victor Foss.
Weidman led the defense last season for Calgary in goals, assists, points, power play goals, and shots on goal. He plays a ton, over 27 minutes a game. That is second in the National Hockey League thus far in the early going this year. Only Ryan Suter in Minnesota plays more. Silverberg unable to seal one off on the near boards, and the Flames back the other way. Joe Colburn plays it in, goes to the front of the net. A great job by Solani, who got his stick on the back check. Around the boards, waiting for it at the near point. O'Brien steps to the middle, then uses the wall to put it back down low. Gagliardi moves it, but Fowler steps in the passing lane as he was trying to find Glenn Cross.
That's a good read by Cam Fowler there. John, he has impressed me in tonight's game, and we got a penalty coming up here against Calgary.
A little bit of a hook as Silverberg was in on the forecheck, and he got tugged. And it's Anaheim's turn on the power play when we come back.
It was a few years ago that Chris Butler was the principal in the Robin Regeer trade that the Flames made with the Buffalo Sabres. It's a tough night. He turns another puck over, and then he hooks Jakob Silverberg. That'll cost him a couple of minutes. It's such a almost needless penalty, John. You don't get your money's worth. There's barely any contact made, but the stick goes into the midsection immediately following a turnover, and it's a very easy call for an official to make.
Second power play of the night for Anaheim, and Solani tries to get it back to the point, but it's chipped around Vatanen, and a good job by Fowler, who hinges over to beat Backlund to that puck. And now Getzlaf says, let's start it from behind the goal. 15 seconds gone, the man advantage. Fowler protecting it as he skates backwards in the neutral zone, and Giordano stepped up.
But you can see that that puck will just not sit flat.
I believe we're going to get a hand pass call here in the corner. And the face-off will come back out.
Ryan Getzlaf thought that Teemu had touched it, or Getzlaf is saying, I touched it with my stick.
I thought he did as well. But they don't ask us. You and I have been talking about that for years, and they've yet to buzz the boot. Minute 32 remains of the power play.
We have made the suggestion.
Yeah, I believe we've lobbied strongly.
It was not well received, by the way.
Fost wanders out as it's cleared, and Lindholm receives his pass. Once again forced behind the goal. It's a dangerous Calgary team. killing penalties. They've already shown that with a shorthanded goal tonight. Perreault behind the net. Thinks better of stuffing it. Instead, Lindholm's the open man out high. Gives it right back to Perreault. He curls off the boards. Sets up Palmieri. Great save. McDonald flashes the right pad.
Yeah, Palmieri did not get that puck where he wanted to, which was up into the air. But full credit to Joey McDonald for reading it and getting across with the right leg pack.
Lindholm headmans. Perreault trying to go through the middle. It caroms to Perry. Drops it back off. Lindholm again. Looking for the open man. It's Koivu. Moves it along behind the net. Looks like Palmieri got stuck on the side of the net as he tried to pursue that puck, and it's cleared. It was a 48-game season a year. Oh, Fost is in trouble. I say it was only a 48-game season a year ago, but the Flames scored 6 shorthanded goals last year as well, so... Now Getzlaf loses it at the line, and it's another foot race to a loose puck. Fowler, fresh off the bench, is there to get to it. 15 seconds left in the power play. Maybe time for one more rush. Getzlaf's pass is blocked, trailing the play again. It's Fowler who flies in. Sends it down low. Solani goes after it, reversed away by Russell. Thrown into the middle. The penalty is over, and jumping into the play out of the box is Butler, who will take the pass into the Anaheim zone. Moves it into the middle. It comes across, and Fost gets across.
Yeah, it's a good stop. Very similar to the Penner goal from earlier in tonight's game. That pass goes through a center lane drive, gets to the far post, but Fost read it perfectly.
It was Michael Backlund that he turned away now. Lindholm with a quick shot as he one-timed it with traffic in front. McDonald kicked it all the way out. Sven Baertschi dumps it in. He got interfered with, and another penalty coming up to the Ducks here. So after a relatively penalty-free opening period, it has been a parade to the penalty box here in the first half of the second period.
Joey McDonald moments ago with a beauty here against Kyle Palmieri, and you could see that Palmieri just didn't get that puck elevated the way that he wanted to, and then Victor Fost denies Backlund on the short side. That's a penalty against Hampus Lindholm. Player chips it by him, and he changes the angle on the onrushing forward. Lindholm moves laterally, makes contact. That's interference.
Baertschi, who has points in his last 2 games, the player interfered with. Second power play of the night now for the Flames. They did not get a shot on goal in their initial man advantage. Keep in mind, Anaheim's first power play was 5 minutes in length. Now it's Weidman who carries it all the way into the Anaheim zone, releasing on the puck, gives it up on the wing, and the shot kicked aside as Giordano, the defenseman, joined the rush.
A nice play by Dennis Weidman to gain that blue line, dish the puck off to a player with speed.
There's Edom again, making a pest of himself. He and Cogliano nearly take it away behind the Calgary goal. In the meantime, precious time ticks off the penalty clock. 2-1 Ducks. Stempniak, who has the Calgary goal, moves it into the Anaheim zone. Kudler whips it across. Maybe one too many passes there as Weidman appeared to have some space. Cogliano broke it up. Now he gloves it ahead and sweeps it the rest of the way on the backhand. Mark Giordano, undrafted, now in his 8th season, all with the Flames. Out of Owen Sound in the OHL. He and Weidman man the points, but again, they can't get it deep in the zone. And here's Perry with some penalty-killing duty. Pulls it in, gets a long wrist shot on net, and a rebound by McDonald nearly went right back to Corey.
It's not as dangerous tonight for goalies with rebounds because the puck is just bouncing. I mean, nothing is lying flat.
Partially blocked. That shot comes around to the near side. Held in by Brody. Beauchemin with a nice puck battle along the near wall as he's able to take it away from Glenn Cross, and Anaheim will ice it.
You know, even on one leg, he is so strong on his skates. When he goes in, it's a battle for that loose puck.
Hampus Lindholm was talking about playing with him earlier this week, said he's just always in the right place. Which is so helpful when you're a 19-year-old just playing for the second or third time in a regular season game. Out of the box, it was Lindholm who nearly had a breakaway there. He'll go to the bench. Anaheim 2 for 2 on the kill tonight as Bonino can't get the puck across in the Calgary zone. Russell broke it up. Now Cogliano wheels off the near boards with it, pulls it into the forehand, only to have it blocked, and it comes back to Fowler. He settles it, but not until after it crosses the blue line.
So you see that play by Fowler in the neutral zone? You know, no messing around, no cross-ice pass under pressure. He moves it forward.
Here's Lance Boma. And Fost hangs on to that one. I think it was under his right arm. He didn't look too sure, but he gets the whistle.
2-1 Ducks at Honda Center with Andrew Cogliano. What do you guys have to do to create some more speed, some more energy, and really take control of this hockey game?
I think the penalties have obviously hampered down the game a bit, but we got to get pucks in. I think we haven't got enough pucks deep and forecheck them, so we got to take advantage of, our speed off the forecheck, so we'll try to do that this next period.
Andrew, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Johnny, back to you.
Thank you, Kent. 464th consecutive game played for Andrew Cogliano. Since he stepped into the National Hockey League, he's never missed one.
He had a maintenance day earlier in the week, and
I think that raised a few eyebrows when he wasn't on the ice at practice.
yeah, we've talked about this before, John. What we've learned about Andrew Cogliano is just how physically he actually plays night after night after night. For not being the biggest guy in the world, that to me is what makes that consecutive games played streak all the more remarkable.
The only players who have longer streaks than him, Jay Bomeister is one of them, a defenseman. Oh, there's a loose puck right in the goal crease, and McDonald smartly covers that up as his own defenseman brought it right back into the blue paint.
Well, this is the forecheck that Cogliano was just talking about. You can see that Brody trying to cut back on the short side, and he didn't realize Corey Perry was right on his hip. And that is an alert play by the goaltender, Joey McDonald. T.J. Brody, just 23 years of age. And the Flames may have found a little bit of a diamond in the rough there. He's a fourth-round pick. Now playing significant minutes for them on their shutdown pairing with Giordano.
Lovejoy gloves it down and chips it ahead. Here's Koivu. He's got a step on his off wing. Tries to center, and Winnick had his stick taken away as he tried to pull the trigger. Weidman got a stick in there. Back come the Flames. Drop pass to Hooter. Cuts across the slot. Stick saved by Foss.
Not only a good stop by Victor Foss, but he gets that rebound into the corner and out of harm's way.
Lovejoy stretches off the stick of Cogliano. He'll pursue it. McDonald out to reverse it away. And Hoodler's one of the more dangerous players for these Flames this season. When you talk about that last save by Foss. Victor made 15 saves in his last outing. The win a week ago Sunday at Winnipeg. He has 15 saves to his credit here. 6:40 to play, second period. Solani can't handle it in the neutral zone, and Brian McGrattan lobs it back in. Foss trying to settle it. That's hard to do today for Lindholm, and Gagliardi took it away. O'Brien steps up on the right boards. Point covered by McGrattan as he moves it down low, and around the boards it goes to the far corner. Boschma goes after it, shovels it ahead into the middle of the ice. Gagliardi whips it wide. Lindholm on his horse to the near boards, jabs it ahead and out of harm's way to center. Colburn brings it back. And it's tipped deep into the Anaheim zone. Lindholm saw who it was tracking him, McGrattan, and instead of moving the puck quickly, he made a move and skated into some open space before making his pass. O'Brien turns a shoulder as Silverberg was heading back to the bench, and now he's hounded by Bonino. Stretch pass. Did Boma get a piece of it? He did, so no icing. Foss quickly moves it for Brian Allen. Allen to Vatanen, and right back around the near boards to Bonino. Slides it cross ice, and Edom gets there first. Chips it into the middle. It just glanced off of Russell's stick and went behind Palmieri. Allen holds the blue line. Nice play there by Brian Allen. And angled off the wall. This will be an icing call against the Flames as Allen is back to get there first. Just a reminder, as you may be enjoying a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time coming up later on in tonight's game. Of course, as always, Miller Time brought to you by Miller Lite. Opportunity
here, John, on the icing because that defensive combination of Weidman and Russell has been out on the ice. And, the Ducks win this draw, they could get some real pressure going if they get a few pucks deep and get the big cycle going.
Getzlaf able to win the draw, hooked right back through the crease by Perry as he got that little pass behind the net from Penner. Corey behind the net has it once more. He's hit as he tries to deflect it in front. Weidman was there, put the body on him, but Penner gets it back. He's hit by Russell. Loose puck to Backlund, who jabs it ahead, and holding the line was Lovejoy. McDonald has to step out to move it away. Benner comes over, but it's chipped past him by Dennis Weidman. Fowler turns back in his own zone with it as we approach 4.5 to play in the second period. Stretched it right up the middle, and Perry got tangled up with Benner. And that did Dennis Weidman a favor. Getzlaf bats it out of midair, but has to retreat through neutral ice.
Yeah, they're just trying to maintain that defensive combination. They're still stuck out there for Calgary.
Perry brings it to the near boards, tries to spin off of the check of Stempniak, but instead fired the length of the ice. Boy, they waved the icing there. I don't think anybody in the building expected that, so play on. Lindholm, nice pass into the middle. Perreault tries to serve it off on the wing to Solani, but it was knifed away.
Yeah, that was a good play by Russell. Got a little stick on that pass. Perreault was trying to just flip it over his stick. Could not execute, however.
Pressure now from the Flames as Glencross serves it to the line. Russell's shot deflects across right to Glencross, slapped away by Silverberg. Jacob unable to clear, and now Solani slashes his stick, breaking it in half as he forces Weidman out of the zone. Brody trying to move it in, and it's stripped away. 2-on-1 with Solani. He gets it ahead to Taylor. He's in, he scores! First of the year for the Flash.
Well, they love it when number 8 finds the back of the net. His 676th career goal. And here's what happened. Teemu actually went after the Calgary defender Weidman, broke his own stick, went to the bench, got a new one, and then lo and behold, Silverberg taps the puck. And with a new twig in his hands, Teemu Solani says, yeah, I like that stick.
I think they gave him the right one. And the 2-goal lead is back for Anaheim now 3-1. And this place, we were talking about whether this team could find energy or life. The building has life thanks to number 8. Silverberg will pick up the helper, and it's 3-1 Anaheim. Puck knocked down by the high stick of Daniel Winnick, and that'll bring a whistle with just over 3 minutes to go in the middle frame. It had been a scoreless second period. That changed in a flash. Teemu Solani has made it 3-1 here late in the second, and the question as this season progresses, Brian Hayward, is can he get into the top 10? He's got to get above probably Mario Lemieux to do that, and then from there, can he get to 700?
Well, the one thing we know about Teemu is that when he gets one, he uses the analogy all the time. He opens up the ketchup bottle.
Yeah, well.
And so he's got one on the board. When you think about it, pretty good start offensively for Solani.
And here's a loose puck in front. Oh, Edom is robbed by McDonald. Great job by Palmieri to bring it right into the goal crease. Yeah, Solani now has points in 3 straight games. He got a goal and 3 assists in that scoring streak as McGrattan chases in behind the Anaheim goal. Brian Allen stays with him. He hooks it right back on goal. Batted out of midair by a high stick and into the goal. This will be no goal. Colburn says that he got it. That baby was somewhere around the ear hole of Victor Foss mask. It appeared the officials will circle the wagons and discuss it, but the call on the ice is no goal.
Well, and the video replay on this will be definitely will tell the story. It's above the height of the crossbar. You know, in the old days, it used to be below the level of the shoulder of the player, but now it's the height of the crossbar is the determining factor whether a puck has been knocked in with a high stick, and there's no question about that is above the height of the crossbar. So
I was going to say, Brian, it's a good thing it's not the old rule, because 6'5" Joe Colburn's shoulder is pretty high. Looking for his first goal as a Calgary Flame. With 2.5 here to go in the second. Colburn told me today he was just amped to play for his hometown team. Played a couple of years of college hockey at Denver University, but he is a native of Calgary. And said he was so excited when he got traded to his hometown team that he is really looking forward to the experience. Of course, a lot of players over the years have played in their hometown, and it can go any number of ways. Colburn, a highly touted Junior B player before he went to play college hockey. As we get icing to call here.
John, what can't be forgotten is the stop moments ago by Joey McDonald as well. Here was that play where Kyle Palmieri walks around Colborne, brings the puck into the crease area, and what a save on Emerson Edom. So that's the second cross-ice pass, one for Palmieri and one for Edom, where they just can't quite elevate the puck high enough to get it over the leg of Joey McDonald.
And Brian, if you think about it, Palmieri has, we're going to get a penalty here against the Ducks. Palmieri has a goal tonight. He got robbed on one of those cross crease passes. Now it's Edom getting robbed. Bruce Boudreau told us this morning, I'm looking forward to playing my fourth line against Calgary's fourth line. I think we can do some damage. They've been very effective as we see the penalty call against the Ducks.
And it's going to be a hooking call as Ryan Getzlaf gets his stick into the midsection of Brody. And that'll cost him a couple of minutes. So, 2:07 remaining in the period here. The Flames have not generated a shot on goal in their 2 power plays. The reason why the Ducks have won every defensive zone face-off well shorthanded. They're 4 for 4 in the defensive zone well shorthanded, but now Koivu's been tossed. Boy, oh boy. They win another one.
The broadcaster's curse doesn't work there. Daniel Winnick wins the draw. Of course, we go back every time we see Winnick go into the middle or win a faceoff. We go back to preseason when Bruce Boudreau and the Ducks coaching staff experimented with him playing center. And now he and Koivu break up the play in the Calgary zone. A smart play by Winnick. He'll just rag it back. And Brian Allen has all kinds of time. Gives it up to Beauchemin, who then hammers it 180 feet away. And in the meantime, half a minute is gone in the penalty to Getzlaf. Minute and a half to go, second period. 3-1 Anaheim. Solani with the only goal of the period from Silverberg at 16:35, and the Flames go offside on the power play. Ducks fans, there's a plan for you this season. Check out the new Ducks mini plans that include the 15-game pick'em plan, where you can pick the games you like best. They start for as little as $15 a game. Go to AnaheimDucks.com/mini plans for more information.
The Ducks penalty killing has certainly been improving in the last couple of games, and a little adjustment there from Bob Woods and his penalty killing unit to not allowing Calgary to enter the zone through the middle of the ice. That's what they were doing in their first couple of power plays. Now Ducks are taking that away, and they're giving up the boards a little bit more.
Russell rims it around the boards, and they gain entry. Here's Monahan. He feeds it back to Russell, who comes in, and his shot deflected off the high glass and out of play as we're under a minute to go in the frame.
Did Edom get to that puck? I mean, that was a glorious scoring opportunity for Russell.
I think he did.
I don't know if Edom got to it or if Foss got a piece of it. We'll see it here. You see Ben Lovejoy loses an edge, so it's a 2-on-1. Pass comes across. You know what? I think it goes off the stick of the goaltender, Victor Foss, before it goes out of play.
Well, they told us that young Sean Monahan could see the ice well. There was a very good example of it there. Out there on the power play with his team down a pair. A good look to find Chris Russell. Just turned 19 years of age, did Monahan 4 days ago. The Ottawa 67s in the OHL are awaiting word whether they'll see any more of him this year. As Winnick wins the battle and feathers it the length of the ice. Down to the final 25 seconds now of the second period. About a 6-second differential between the penalty clock and the game clock for the remainder of this second period. Russell off the boards, forced to just flip it in. Allen protects the puck. Nice job to get it to Cogliano, and here's Edom. 6 seconds left in the period as he weaves his way into the Calgary zone, looks for a trailer. It's deflected away. Getzlaf fresh out of the box, tries to get it to the net, but the horn sounds, and Anaheim adds to their lead in the second period.
You know, they cut down on the number of turnovers in that second period for sure. And now with a 2-goal lead, that'll be a trend that will make the coaching staff pleased, and especially if it continues on into the third. Very few quality scoring chances for Calgary in this hockey game thus far. The Ducks defense having a strong night.
The Flames outshoot the Ducks in the second period, but Anaheim gets the only goal, and it's from a familiar face. Teemu Solani got loose after Victor Foss made some big saves. It's 3-1 Ducks after 2 periods of play at Honda Center. Stay with us. Back with a second intermission in a moment. All rights to this broadcast are reserved, and any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the Anaheim Ducks is expressly prohibited. Set to begin the third period of play at Honda Center. It's a 3-1 lead for the Ducks over the Calgary Flames, and it's time for tonight's AT&T Rewind as we look ahead to Friday night's opponent, the Phoenix Coyotes. And Hazy, in their last outing, they fell in overtime to the Ottawa Senators thanks to this Corey Conacher goal.
The Coyotes are off to a good start. However, this season, goaltender Mike Smith has the capability of stealing a game at any time. I'm surprised the Coyotes are off to such a good start when a few of their key forwards actually, their production levels not quite at the level that they were hoping for.
Of course, stability in the desert for the first time in some 4+ years. New ownership in place. They are committed to the Valley of the Sun there, and they went out and made a free agent signing, picked up Mike Ribeiro in the offseason, former high-scoring centerman of the Dallas Stars who spent last season with the Washington Capitals. Dave Tippett still in place as their head coach as well. They'll be here Friday, a 7 o'clock face-off at Honda Center. Little matter of the third period, however, still stands in front of the Ducks before they can really worry about that one. They lead the Flames 3-1. Ben Street in the middle of the ice moves it quickly to right wing. Cross-ice pass is broken up nicely by Vatanen. He's trying to find Boma. He gets a tip on the shot from Giordano, and Foss with a good save. Boma paid the price in front of the net. The Ducks recover possession. Getzlaf to center. To the corner for Dustin Penner. Penner had the first goal of the hockey game. Gets it to Perry. Perry without a point tonight has 6 points, including 3 goals in his last 4 games. A scoring streak that is on the line as this third period gets underway. Lindholm with a bit of a miss on the pass to Boschma, but he's such a good skater, he tracks it down himself.
Corey Perry, by the way, 5 shots on goal, led all players through 2 periods tonight.
Flames into the Anaheim zone. Backlund, and a diving play nicely by Boschma to knock it away. Looked as if Backlund had turned the corner on the veteran defenseman, but not so fast. Now it's Lindholm. Got into a little bit of trouble, so he used the glass.
And he used the forehand, which you want to believe that Francois Beauchemin is reminding him of each and every game.
I can just hear Randy Carlyle barking that right now. That used to be a mantra of his with his defense. Play on your forehand. Foss lets one come through the goal crease and gets across to make the save.
Udler kind of looking at Victor Foss saying, I don't know if that was good or that was lucky, but it was a real nice stop. Here was the sweep check by Francois Beauchemin. Nice job as Michael Backlund tried to carry the puck wide. He will be challenged wide. I mean, the secret is out. Everybody knows about his off-season surgery. Everyone knows that he's not at 100%. And so if you're a defenseman that's not at 100% and it's your legs that is the issue, you want to believe you're going to be challenged wide by forwards.
5 months ago today, ACL surgery on that right knee. And he played the final 2 games of the exhibition season, which means he's coming up on at least 3 full weeks of game action, not to mention the skating he did leading up to that. He was back and skating with his teammates after about 4 months' time.
And John, just a note here, the Calgary Flames have activated their defense. They're up on the rush, pinching in every single time now as Bob Hartley looks for a quick goal here at the beginning of the third.
Cogliano puts it behind the goal for Winnick. Winnick trying to use that reach, get it to the front of the net, trying to fend off the defender with his body as it comes to the near side, but it's the bigger Shane O'Brien that dislodges it. Street trying to cut in on left wing, and a save by Foss as Allen battles the puck to the end board.
Well, it's been all Calgary here in the third. First 6 shots on goal of this period belong to the Flames.
Nice pass ahead to Edom by Palmieri. He goes to the backhand. Oh, the rebound again was laying there. McDonald gets the whistle. That's a couple of times tonight that McDonald has not had possession of the puck, but he's gotten a break from the Zebras.
Yeah, I don't understand why this whistle was blown. I mean, the puck's not even close to the goaltender. It was the backside official who makes the call. With Kyle Palmieri, you saw him doing his best effort to try and avoid the collision with the goaltender.
Flurry of Calgary shots to begin the period. 6 shots on goal in the first 3 minutes of the third period. Delayed offside will finally be called as a Calgary player upended on the far boards. Puck came back to him. Become a season ticket holder today and get discounted tickets and the best of all the fan benefits. Visit AnaheimDucks.com/season tickets for more information. We're only 3 games into the home schedule, so 38 more regular season home games still ahead. Plenty of time. Ducks will dump it back into the Calgary zone. Wednesday night gathering of over 14,000 on hand here tonight at Honda Center. Lindholm forced deep into his own zone and pressured on the play by Colborne. Excuse me, it was Weidman, the defenseman, all the way up the ice. Now he has to come back. Can Edom get inside on him? No, McDonald will cover up. But that's some end-to-end skating, and Weidman takes a swipe at Edom after the whistle.
Dennis Weidman's a pretty hard-nosed character. Emerson Edom, I don't know if we've seen Emerson Edom drop the gloves, but teams might be surprised at just how powerful a kid Emerson Edom is. 210 pounds and getting bigger.
One fight last season for Emerson. But he's so strong. I can't imagine if he gets a hold of your sweater that things would go very well for you. Coming off that knee issue that he had from the preseason, told me that Emerson did that he injured the same knee his freshman year at Shattuck St. Mary. So he said, I've been through it before, and when he started skating again, he said, I was very encouraged because of how good it felt, and it's improved every single day. And Bruce Boudreau has conferred anytime we've asked him about his thoughts on the high-flying winger. He said that with each practice and with each game, he feels better about watching him skate and the confidence that he sees from the Long Beach native. And as he was saying, he adds a dynamic to this team that equates itself into energy and goal-scoring ability as well. Shot off the boards easily in the glove of Fost. And we'll remind you that you can become a mini plan holder as well as a season ticket holder this season. You'll get priority access to the 2014 Coors Light NHL Stadium Series, and that means tickets to the Ducks and Kings at Dodger Stadium will be available to you. Go to AnaheimDucks.com for more information. Big doings at Dodger Stadium earlier today. Congratulations as the Dodgers stay alive. To Ned Colletti and the crew up there with a 6-4 win over the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series. Good time to be a sports fan in Southern California right now. Russell with a wrist shot. Fost never saw it. And speaking of 3-2, that's the score here now.
And it's turnover. Anaheim had full control in the D zone. And this one was a little bit too easy. Russell, very mobile defenseman. Boy, Calgary did not have to give up much to get Chris Russell from St. Louis.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Round pick. And this is what happens when you play at the end of your stick. That may have deflected off the player in the slot. I believe
Hudler.
that's going to be Yuri Hudler's goal. Yep, there it is. Off the stick into the top corner. Well, what a great look, guys. No chance whatsoever for the goaltender, Victor Fost. So the Ducks reaching for a loose puck in the D zone. It costs them a goal.
And it's a 1-goal game with just under 16 minutes to play. Lovejoy on his horse to get it back in the Anaheim zone. Reverses it for Fowler. Nice little opening. And Koivu goes cross ice to Lovejoy, who joins the rush. Into the zone, drops it off. Cogliano's cross ice pass. Split the defense, but also hopped the stick of Koivu. Saku gets it back. And it's Russell who runs it down deep in the Calgary zone. Baertschi, headman, Hudler again. Here's Colborne in behind the defense, and he can't handle the pass. Break for Anaheim.
Time of the goal, 4:15. And for Calgary, the goal by Hudler from Russell. And
Both teams go for changes as Weidman, rink wide, gets it to Colborne, hit by Lovejoy as he dumps it in. Stempniak, who had the first Calgary goal, cycles it out of the corner, and it's tapped back right through the middle, where Backlund off the bench is there to get it. Perreault breaks up the pass at center, and it's out of play. Brian, we shouldn't be surprised that we got ourselves a 1-goal game when these two teams get together.
Well, 19 games played since 08-09. 13 of them have been decided by a single goal. 4 have gone to overtime, 3 in a shootout. The Ducks have dominated and found ways to win those close games, but I can remember games here at Honda Center in particular as this streak has continued where Calgary has had leads in third periods that the Ducks have clawed their way back from.
Well, this is a house of horrors for the Calgary Flames. I mean, every team seems to have one. For years, for the Ducks, it was Joe Louis Arena, particularly in the regular season. And there's an icing call.
I think the linesmen forget that the puck still has to cross the goal line, not just the hash mark before you blow the whistle. It's the one thing about the hybrid icing is that if it's close, they're supposed to call it icing. But close in terms of a race, not close in terms of whether or not you're unsure about whether the puck is actually going to go over the line.
We've had an active crew here tonight. They called the icings close. Now they call the face-off close as soon as they drop the puck. They do it again for a false draw, forcing Hoodler into oppose Perreault, who's had another wonderful night in the face-off circle, winning 75% of his draws through the first 2 periods. He's up near 60% on the season, far and away the Ducks' leader. Hoodler now brings it back into the Anaheim zone. And finally knocked off his stick. Again, he didn't run into a whole lot of resistance as he drove right down the center lane.
The points are open. I mean, this is a much looser start to this third period for Anaheim. And, you know, credit to the Calgary Flames. They have really dictated this third period so far.
Well, a word in Calgary early in the year was, while they may not have looked like that much on paper, they knew the one thing they could do is try to outwork opponents. You talked about it in the first period, Brian. Early on this season, through the first 5 games, they've been very successful at doing that, so you can't expect this team to go away. And they are missing some key players. As Fost almost waited too long to play that one behind the net. They have not had Mike Camilleri all season long, a perennial leading goal scorer for them. They are without Matt Stajan, one of their key pivots in the middle. In fact, you look at this roster, 3 brand new centermen on tonight's roster for Bob Hartley that did not play for this team a season ago. So that's a pretty key position to have 75% turnover, albeit in part because of some of the injuries that they've had. David Jones, a key pickup in the offseason from Colorado, is not on the trip with them either, missing his 2nd consecutive game. Palmieri whines only to have his shot deflected out of play.
And as Joe Colburn, maybe the most dangerous center of all for the Flames. Thank goodness, not much of a scoring touch there, or this score could be much different. We've been talking about this transitionary period that the Flames are in as they go through a rebuild. When you think about their club at the start of last year, Gidlin was there, Bomeister was there, Kiprasov, a lot of category leaders and terrific veterans for Calgary. But the youth movement has been fully embraced by the management team. We also should point out that the new president of hockey operations with the Calgary Flames is Brian Burke, of course, a name that Duck fans remember quite fondly.
Jay Feaster still officially the general manager. That was something that when Burke's appointment was made public was painstakingly clear. Feaster traveling with the Flames here on this trip right now as Perry comes up with a loose puck, moves it to the middle of the ice, but nobody home but Mark Giordano. Penner, who got the goal scoring started in the first period, behind the back to the near boards. Perry unable to run that down, and now Getzlaf. Cam Fowler winds it up and gives it back to the captain on right wing into the Calgary zone. Hits the brakes, cycles it along. Perry looking for Penner, who knocked it out of midair, but TJ Brody wins that puck, and again the Flames clear. First real run we've seen of a territorial advantage, at least in this third period for the Ducks. But as soon as we say that, the puck right back in the Anaheim zone. Baertschi gets it into the slot, and a diving effort to block there by Daniel Winnick.
That was a good play by Daniel Winnick. It was this line, Cogliano, Koivu, and Winnick that was victimized for Calgary's last goal in this game, and made kind of a soft play on it. That was not a soft play. That was an outstanding sacrifice play made by Winnick.
Shots on goal in this third period, 8-2 in favor of Calgary, but that's no shot on goal there.
I've been impressed, John, with TJ Brodie here in the third period. I mean, he has eluded Anaheim forecheckers. He has made a good first pass, and he can skate, and he's been up on the play.
Flames rewarded him with a 2-year contract in the offseason for $4.5 million, and now Winnick doesn't like the call any more than the paying officials. 14,000 strong at Honda Center as he's going to go to the box.
You know, it has been one of those games where you get the sense that players are kind of looking out of the corner of their eyes at the officials, wondering what is going to be called and what isn't going to be called. There's contact with the hands. Gagliardi sells it. And Gagliardi will see his team now on the power play.
Fourth chance of the night for Calgary. They've yet to cash with the man advantage. In fact, they only have 2 shots on goal. And right off the draw, they get a third, and a good stick save by Faust. Victor, in his only appearance against the Flames last season, shut them out. So this is just the second time the Flames have ever had a look at him.
You know what, and I think that also entered into the decision for Bruce Boudreau in terms of which game to get Victor Faust into. That factored in, I'm sure.
Kudler brings it into the middle, and Stempniak got it on goal. Shrapnel all over the place, broken sticks in the defensive zone. Koivu goes and gets another as the puck comes into the middle, and it's wisely iced by Brian Allen. Now a minute 15 remains in the hooking minor to Winnick. 10.5 to go third period. 3-2 Ducks. They've led all the way after scoring the game's first 2 goals. Weidman starts out. Leaves it in the neutral zone. And Giordano brings it in on left wing. In after it is Monahan. Well, the youngster who leads the Flames in goals has been fairly invisible tonight except on the power play. Giordano's shot tipped on the way, battling for the rebound. Faust, and the centering pass intended for Hudler was knocked away. Great defensive play. Lovejoy, I think, got in there. And Weidman times it right on. Faust covers up.
Yeah, good battling save there by Victor Faust. Calgary negotiates that puck right down to the doorstep of the Anaheim goal mouth. Here's Michael Backlund, who's providing the screen. Look at all those bodies in front of Victor Faust. And there's the rebound bid. And Faust does a good job protecting the short side with that left leg. And then you see that Ben Lovejoy is able to get across and help him out as well. So we got a timeout being called here, I believe, by Bruce Boudreau, John.
I heard the timeout announced. I thought it was Boudreau's timeout, but I think he'll be very happy to use it. We're getting worded it was Bob Hartley, actually, who took the timeout.
Well, here's the thing with Hartley. He's got limited skill in his lineup, so he wants to give that number 1 power play unit another crack. And why not? They moved the puck around pretty effectively on that last sequence.
The best they've looked all night.
Assistant coaches, see Jacques Cloutier, former goaltender, Martin Jelena. Jelena, by the way, the assistant on the Flames bench, was the last Calgary player ever to score a game-winning goal in this building.
Backlund to take the draw against Getzlaf, who controls for the Ducks. Run down on the far boards by Nick Bonino, who was out as a second face-off option. He sweeps at the length of the ice and goes to the bench for a change. Down to the final half minute now of Winnick's penalty. Kudler, fancy pass for Giordano, who's caught from behind by Perry, has to pull up. Into the middle of the ice again, the Flames drag it back, and Backlund brings it into the zone offside. Good job by Anaheim to hold the blue line there, and then a little bump after the whistle. Toshima and Backlund have words.
Well, that would be a bluff from Mr. Backlund.
You think? Getzlaf came in there as well, and I don't think that's territory that Backlund wants to stand in between a couple of guys who are more than willing.
Here's the play with Bolcheman standing up. Gives Backlund a little shot. And he takes a swipe. much going on there.
Face off just outside the blue line. 12 seconds left. And Perreault wins the draw from Glencross. And a shorthanded bid from the Ducks as the final seconds tick off. Winnick will step out of the box. Anaheim full strength. Kudler into the middle, a bouncing puck. Lindholm loses it. It's right to the doorstep. Sprawling save as Foss stuck the left leg out.
What a stop. That was just a great save on Stempniak.
Russell gives it to Brody, and it's a swing and a miss at the line. Silverberg pressures him as he goes back to get it. So the best-looking Calgary power play of the night comes up empty. Kudler brings it back in, again into the middle of the ice, and it's poked away from Glencross all the way across the blue line.
Shots in this period, 13-3 in favor of the Calgary Flames. So the Ducks they're just hanging on here.
Ben Street wins the battle down low. Feeds it out high. Lots of room at the points. That shot deflected. I don't think Foss saw that. It ended up on the glass. Palmieri jabs it ahead. It squirted into the middle of the ice. And again, Anaheim can only ice it. So the faceoff will come back into the Ducks zone.
Well, great stop moments ago by Victor Foss. Flames with numbers on the attack, and the puck squirts through to the middle of the ice. Stempniak tries to just pull it from backhand to forehand and jam it. And Foss gets that left leg pad nice and close to Stempniak.
Far and away the heaviest workload of the season for Victor Foss. 29 saves to this point. 31-year-old Swedish native sees the Ducks win the draw to his right, but they fail to clear the zone. Weidman has to retreat, and it's scaled up the glass and out by Hampus Lindholm. Chris Russell backs in to his own zone. He's out with Weidman. Russell had the primary assist on the Calgary goal. Yuri Hudler's third of the year in this third period to draw the Flames back within one. Colburn drives up the left side, tries to go around Allen, now in behind the goal. Feeds it back out to Russell, and a great blocker save as Foss, coming out of his crease, got a piece of it.
Well, some nerves showing here by the Ducks, John. They're getting control of the puck, and they're just flipping it back into the neutral zone. And bad things happen when you play that style of game.
Now some pressure. Getzlaf nearly able to draw a call. Puck comes to the line, and Lovejoy gloves it down, keeps it in behind the net for the captain. Perry goes behind the goal. Russell keeps him to the perimeter. Now hooks it back behind the net. Penner has it take a bounce on him, and that went about a foot over the blade of his stick. Getzlaf knocks it down nicely with a glove, and then back to Penner in the high slot. Tried to curl it back for Getzlaf, but Backlund got in the passing lane. Clock winds to 7 minutes to go in regulation. The Ducks lead Calgary 3-2. Berchi tips it in, and Fowler waits for it to settle. Cross ice for Lovejoy with the Flames changing. He has time and space and gets it deep. Brody reverses it around the wall. Glencross got a stick on it. That negated what could have been an icing, and then he gets a piece on the outlet pass from Beauchemin. Could have been dangerous. Koivu again with that play just up the middle, clearing the zone. They'll wave the icing. Brody goes back with Giordano. Fans sense the trepidation. They get the chant going as Cogliano on a turnover gets it on net, forcing McDonald to make a save. One-goal game at Honda Center.
Important player, especially when you're protecting a one-goal lead, is your goaltender. Victor Foss has come up with a couple of beauties here as the Flames have had great pressure in this third period. This might have been his best one right here. Lee Stempniak right on the doorstep. Stempniak's had a strong game for the Calgary Flames. Scored that short-handed goal, but he has been dangerous.
Two-time 20-goal scorer, Stempniak. Probably been Calgary's best player tonight. Brody stretches it in. Gagliardi gets a tip on it. TJ Gagliardi came over in an off-season trade from San Jose. And Flames with a new look this season, part of that rebuild we talked about, but they don't look like a team rebuilding right now as they keep the pressure on in the Anaheim zone, forcing Foss to cover up.
Well, their defense has been hyperactive here in the third period. They put all kinds of pressure on by pinching down the boards. And the Ducks, this is a slower game from the Ducks, John, than what we've seen in the last couple. So they have not been able to exploit that over-aggressiveness at all. Skating legs have not been there for Anaheim the way they have been, certainly in their last two games.
Flames don't play again until Saturday when they'll be in San Jose to take on the Sharks. They then come back to the Southland to play the Kings before going to Phoenix and Dallas to complete this 5-game roadie. Each team with 8 points coming into tonight's action, tied for third in the Pacific Division behind the high-flying Sharks and the fast-starting Coyotes. Lovejoy holds it at the right point. A strange bounce off the Zamboni door came right in front, but Weidman was there. And the Flames back to center, lobbed in. Foss can't get a stick on it, wide of the goal. Pressure on Lovejoy as he rims it around. Winnick got it out, but couldn't get it ahead. Now heads to the bench for a change. Circling in the neutral zone once, now a second time, is Jiri Hudler. Butler back defensively with O'Brien, as now it's Backlund's turn to circle in his own zone, and then he misses his intended target as he tried to move it ahead to Stempniak, so icing is the call. Well, don't miss Travis Rogers as he anchors the only live and local morning show in Orange County. It's weekdays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on AM 830. For details, visit their website, am830.net.
Yeah, Bruce Boudreau going to the more veteran lineup here in the late going of this game. Getzlaf line being double shifted.
4:40 to play in the game. Butler's pass through the neutral zone broken up. Nice read by Beauchemin as he was able to get in front of Lee Stempniak. Butler now retreats into his own zone. A very passive forecheck from Dustin Penner. He'll bring it up the left side. Backlund got a piece of it, turns it over though, and here's Getzlaf in transition. Crisscrosses with Penner. Perry joins them, throws it to the net, tipped by Penner. Loose between the circles and swept out of harm's way by Michael Backlund.
You know, it's so important. The Ducks go on the attack. They haven't done much of that in the third period, but just by virtue of the fact that they control the puck in the offensive zone, it takes a lot of the pressure off.
Having to be careful to take that one on the short hop was Joey McDonald. Under 4 now to play. Ducks have surrendered 33 shots in this game. 15 of them here in the third period. That is the most shots they have surrendered in a game in this young season. Yet they cling to a 1-goal lead. Finish means Teemu. It's Teemu time.
Teemu Selanne scores the third goal of the game for the Ducks. So that, if nothing changes here, would stand up as the eventual game winner. Under 4 minutes to go. Face-offs are going to play a huge role. The Ducks have been good in the circle tonight. They've won 57% of the draws. They win that one, but then have to battle to regain possession. And I love the fact that Sami Vatanen gets those legs moving and skates the puck out of harm's way.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but I don't really speak Finnish. So you may not want to quote me on that particular translation. A couple of harrowing moments back in the Calgary zone as again the Zamboni corner strikes again. A dump in off the high glass ended up right at the side of the Calgary net, and Joey McDonald doing all he could to just knife that puck out of harm's way. If you know this building as a goaltender, you know you stay put.
Well, Joey McDonald knows that building. Boy, Emerson Edom puts a little scare into McDonald. That speed of Edom again getting to that loose puck.
So down to 3:28 now to go as Getzlaf wins another faceoff for Michael Backlund.
Also worth pointing out again that Bob Hartley has used his timeout already in this game.
McDonald stops it behind the goal. Flames have outshot the Ducks 33-22, and they've had their foot on the gas here in the third. Diagonal dump by Backlund, and Getzlaf gets back to get to it. Perry did a good job to knock it out of midair, and then it just pinballs all over the place before Penner gloves it down. And again, the Flames forced to start from their own zone. Backlund ahead to Glenncross, who sweeps it in. Lovejoy felt the backside pressure, just tried to use his body to protect the puck. Instead, the Flames come up with it, and Russell out high, forced to the backhand. Getzlaf bumped by Stempniak, knocked loose by Glenncross, but kept behind the goal. Now it's swung around, and Fowler on his horse gets to it and moves it through the middle of the ice.
Players just kind of slogging through that shift. Nothing looks easy right now for sure. This is all about the battle.
Foss comes out and reels in a loose puck before Sean Monahan can get there.
That was smart play by Victor Foss. The Flames were going to get to that dump in easily, and rather than Foss allowing a chaotic next 15 or 20 seconds with the Flames in possession of the puck behind the goal line, he does the smart thing.
Face-off will be to the right of Foss. 2:13 to play. Ben Street and Koivu to take the draw. And with help from Winnick, Koivu controls it. Allen has time and moves it all the way to center for Winnick. Nice job there. That pass got through. And Brody forced deep to the corner by the pressure of Winnick. Ben Street takes the rink-wide feed. Knocked away by Koivu, but trailing the play, Giordano gets it on net, kicked out of play by Victor Foss.
With the Ducks controlling the face-off circle, they'll take whistles, and Foss knows that his team's having a good night in face-off circle, so any opportunity for him to use that goal stick and kind of angle it so that he deflects pucks up into the crowd. I always talk about Victor Foss as being a real technician, and part of being a technician as a goaltender is putting those rebounds in good spots or deflecting them up and over the glass. And he's done a nice job of that in tonight's game.
Well, this is not a new development for the Flames. They were third to last in the league in face-off winning percentage a year ago, and they have struggled mightily tonight. The Ducks with another face-off win, enabling them to get the puck into the Calgary zone. Time wasting for the Flames as we're under 100 seconds. We'll keep an eye on Joey McDonald and see if Bob Hartley chooses to pull him for the extra attacker, but the Ducks keep the pressure on as Bonino misses on the short side. And they continue to make the Flames play in their own zone. It's going to be hard for McDonald to get out of the goal crease. Lovejoy angles it off the boards. Perry onside as it knocked off his stick. Glenn Cross gets it back. Anaheim changing, so space in the neutral zone. Russell jumps into the play. There goes McDonald to the bench. Russell has his stick chopped as he tries to pull the trigger. He got a second shot through. Save made by Foss. Then Getzlaf wisely just clears the zone.
This is a long shift for Getzlaf and Perry, John. They've been out there for a while here.
Net is empty. Less than a minute to play. Beauchemin protects the puck. Throws it across his own crease, and it's deflected out of play off the stick of Brian Allen. Dangerous pass there.
Brian Allen is trying to say that did not touch my stick. That was a Calgary stick. And that's kind of an important distinction here, because ruled off of Brian Allen, the faceoff does stay inside.
Bruce Boudreau still has a timeout in his back pocket.
Yeah, you know what?
Hard to tell.
Yeah, and I agree with the referee's assessment on that one. Huge face-off here as Koivu settles in against Street.
And Saku wins it, driven ahead and knocked down. Cogliano chases a loose puck in the Calgary zone. Can't nudge it to the empty net as Giordano hustled to get an angle.
Boy, what a great play by Giordano.
Down to 35 seconds left in regulation. The net is empty. Calgary has 6 skaters on. 3-2. The Ducks have the lead. Fed in by Hoodler. Foss stays put. Around it goes to Brian Allen. Takes the hit to try to control the puck. The Flames get it back to the line. Dennis Weidman can't get a shooting angle. Winnick got a piece of it. It's in the feet of Koivu, kicked across, and then Beauchemin blocks the centering pass by Glenn Cross. Got it ahead to Cogliano. Koivu tried to give it back, but again, Giordano stayed home. Cogliano battles it across the zone. Weidman gets it off the boards one time. Oh, that's blocked. And Winnick is down. That hit him up high with only 4.5 seconds to play.
I think it hit him in the back of the head, and so the referee blows the whistle immediately. And good to see that Daniel Winnick is okay. Here's the shot. See him, watch him turn his head. Oh, boy.
Looked like he got him just underneath the helmet.
He seems none the worse for wear, and that's pretty amazing. 4.5 seconds here.
I thought they might put some time back on the clock for him, but it does not appear as if they're going to. So it boils down to one more face-off. Koivu wins it. Beauchemin takes it behind the net and eats the puck there. Hit by Stempniak. The hockey game is over. Not their prettiest effort of the season, but the result they were looking for.
Yeah. The Ducks go to 5-1 on the year, so a terrific start for them. And you know what? You can't be nothing but happy for Victor Fost. Solani with a game winner, but this was Victor Fost's victory tonight, John, because second half of the game, the Ducks just did not seem to be able to get their skating legs underneath them tonight, and they spent an awful lot of time defending. It can be a confidence builder when you don't have your best stuff and you find a way to gut out 2 points, and that's what Anaheim was able to do in tonight's game.
The 34 saves, one shy of his career high. Fost, I should say 33 saves, gets the victory. Anaheim has now won 5 straight, and for the first time in franchise history, they win 5 of their first 6. This equals their best start from a point perspective, 10 of a possible 12 points. But the previous time was the 07 season when they were 4-0-2. The winning streak continues, 3-2 over Calgary, and we listen in on tonight's 3-star selection.
Now here are tonight's 3 stars of the game as voted by the broadcast media and brought to you by Honda. Tonight's 3rd star of the game, from Calgary at number 22, Lee Stempniak. Tonight's 2nd star of the game, with an assist from the Ducks, number 15, Ryan Getzlaf. And tonight's 1st star of the game, stopping 33 shots from the Ducks, your goaltender, number 30, Victor Fost.
Well, the Anaheim Ducks have started the season winning 5 of their first 6 for the first time in franchise history. Victor Fost joins me now, number 1 star of the game. You have not been in net for 10 days. How did you get yourself ready for this one, and did you need to see a few shots to start to settle in?
First 20 minutes was really rusty from my side, I think. I mean, felt like I was all over the crease and made it tough for the guys out there. So it was good for me to play better the last 40 minutes today. So in the end, it felt pretty good.
Victor, your defense stepped up, especially on the penalty kill, killing off all 4 Calgary power plays. Why were you guys so good on the PK tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the guys played incredibly good in front of me. I mean, look at Winnie. I think he covered his shot with his head here in the end. I mean, that's the things that show you want to win, you know. So that's what we have to do. And that's what the guys did today.
Victor, I appreciate it. Congratulations. Enjoy this one.
Thanks.
All right, Victor Fost, number 1 star of the game. Your Anaheim Ducks have won 5 straight games and they win this one 3-2. Coming up next is Brian Hayward and Mark Rogandino with Ducks Live, so don't go anywhere.